Good morning, magandang umaga po. Uh, let's talk about COVID vaccination. This is a very important topic right now because a lot of people are hesitant or do not want to get vaccinated. On the other hand, a lot of people want to get vaccinated, but they don't have the opportunity to. They're waiting. For example, vaccination in the Philippines, I think, is very limited, and to my knowledge, it's only the Chinese vaccine that is available, and they're still waiting for additional vaccines to be available in the Philippines. Very critical time, deciding whether you should get vaccinated or not. We'll talk about it. Stay with me, hang loose. Today, one of the more important things we need to decide on is whether you should get vaccinated or not. At first, I was reluctant to subject myself to this vaccine because of everything I'm hearing, like deaths, conspiracy theories about side effects, long-term side effects of the vaccine. So I was reluctant. My sister called me and said, gee, there is a vaccine available in the hospital where I work. Do you want to get vaccinated? Well, at first I said, no, I'm not quite ready yet to receive that vaccine. And the reason is there was lack of experience. We don't really know what, to some degree, this is still in experimental stage. So I was really very reluctant to receive it. But then I compared the risk versus my exposure to COVID. After a few millions have been vaccinated with relatively small deaths, and that death could be me, so we don't know that, all right? I actually decided to plunge into it. But let me talk to you about the decision process I had to go through. The risk of dying is minimal. There are very few deaths. And the risk of not getting it of getting COVID is much greater. Vaccination will most likely be required when I start traveling because the pandemic right now is here. They're not just going to one day disappear. It will be gradual. And during this gradual period of time, before it actually gets eliminated completely, there will be concerns amongst airlines, restaurants, things like that. There will be a transition period, and there will be, I believe, a period of time when airlines would require vaccination. There are some issues being discussed right now. They don't want a COVID passport because it will discriminate people who were not vaccinated, who don't believe in vaccination for religious or whatever reason, being discriminated from using the facility like the airline, the restaurants, and so forth and so on. But if you think about it, for many years now, if you go to, well, I don't know now, okay, but before, if you go to Africa, they'll require you to have vaccination for malaria or whatever it is. But they do require some vaccination when you fly. So I won't be surprised, for example, if in the Philippines, the next stage before opening it up is vaccinate first to come in. And then later, much later, probably just come in, okay, with no vaccination. That's after this thing is eliminated. But that's probably a few years from now. So that's one thing I had to consider. The other thing is the demand for vaccine could increase tremendously as soon as they open this to the public. As a matter of fact, I think April 19th, sometime this month, it will be open to everybody. When that open season comes and you want to get vaccinated, at that point it may be too late. You may not be able to get it for a few months. So that's another factor I had to consider. Now, I considered heavily what is my actual experience. So let me tell you. I went to the Philippines sometime maybe before 2019, I think 2018. I had dinner with my wife's cousin. 2 months later, he passed away. Why? What happened? He flew to, I think, Malaysia or some Asian countries, came back, did not feel well, got hospitalized, he had COVID, passed away. The news was, they had to break the news to his parents living in New Jersey and New York. So the whole family got together to break the news to his mother. Guess what? They all had COVID. And my friend and his wife were hospitalized. My friend passed away after a short period of time. Luckily, his wife survived and is now fully recovered, but he passed away. I also had a relative in the Philippines who attended a meeting, and when she came back, she had COVID, and almost everyone who attended that meeting also had COVID. It's highly contagious. It's highly contagious. And what happened, she got hospitalized, and I understand that they had to spend about 400,000 pesos, that's about $8,000, for the hospitalization. Well, that's big money in the Philippines. I just wish they had polio vaccine when I was young, so I could have recovered from polio back then. But I'm fine because my father really took care of me. And from age 4 to 14, I think, for about 10 years, he had to carry me, have my, at the time there is no vaccine, there is no medicine yet to cure polio. But he had to give me a massage, my leg massage, and a hot water bath, and then infrared light later. Later on, it was infrared light he was using. But I was able to recover from it. And I wish I had a vaccine at that time. So now when we're talking vaccine, by the way, I never took vaccine, not even flu vaccine, until about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, no, before then, I think I had a vaccine for shingles, okay? Then 4 years ago, I took all the vaccines that are necessary for me, including pneumonia, flu, etc., etc. And my flu vaccine now is annual, every year. Okay, so I was not a believer of vaccine. I never took any vaccine except for shingles, which I took several years ago. And 4 years ago, I took all the vaccines that are essential because I felt, I should do it because I will be traveling, I'll be moving around from place to place. So I decided I'm going to take it now. Now, why did I decide to take it now? I have been hearing this, we call it a conspiracy theory, fear of long-term side effects. They say, don't take it yet. We don't have enough history. This thing is just an experimental drug right now. It's dangerous. You're not going to be able to have a baby. Pregnancy is going to be a problem. Well, that's not a problem for me. Your DNA is going to get changed. And this has been unproven. And the question I have to ask myself is, how can they come up with all this conspiracy theory? On one hand, they say, gee, don't take it because we don't have enough history. You don't know if this is going to happen, that's going to happen. If you'll die, you'll not die, or whatever. It's just dangerous. It's a fear of the unknown. On the other hand, they keep on coming out with these things that, this is going to cause this and cause that and cause this and cause that. Where is the proof? Where is the proof? So that's what I always ask myself. And I heard about some people dying, but not related to the vaccine that they have taken. In fact, I don't know if this was part of the test they were doing before somebody died, but he was injected a placebo. Nothing to do with the drug. So it's still in experimental stage, that's true. But now that millions have been vaccinated in the US, and I hear very few, very, very few deaths, and not even related. I even heard one elderly who was injected with Moderna for the first injection and was injected a Pfizer for the second injection. So they were worried about it, and they said, no, they're not concerned, but they're watching her very closely, very closely. Now, what are the benefits of the vaccine as far as I am concerned? Well, it's when I'm traveling, as I mentioned before it gets completely ignored because the pandemic is gone. We'll go through a transition where vaccine could probably be recommended. For example, going to the Philippines where rate of infection is very high, they may require vaccine before admitting you to the Philippines when you're dining, okay? So I'll be able to, the benefit is I'll be able to move around more freely, and because of the lack of fear or concern, and it's going to be done with. So this is what we did. So I called my sister and said, is it still available? Could you schedule me? And she was able to schedule me within a matter of days. I got my first injection, I can remember when, sometime in March. And I was waiting for the side effect because of everything I'm hearing about the side effect. They said you're going to have fever, you'll have muscle pain and all that. So my wife prepared for both of us because we both received the vaccine. And she prepared all the food to be sure that when we get sick, we don't have to worry about food. Everything is going to be ready. I had my trusty electronic temperature taker to check my temperature because we were expecting to have fever. And guess what? Lo and behold, after the first shot, none whatsoever. Not even much pain. There is no pain in the arm. Of course, if I touch it, then I will feel a little pain, but no pain, no pain. So I waited for about 3 weeks, another 3 weeks for the second shot. And I heard that second shot is going to have more side effects. So again, we prepared everything, preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. So after the second shot, I had a second shot in the morning. In the evening, I had chills. And towards later part of the evening, I had temperature of low grade, 100.3 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 38 degrees centigrade, 38 Celsius. And I had it until the following morning. Then it was gone. I was back to normal. My wife had a fever for the rest of the day. Maybe sometime later in the afternoon, hers was also gone. Next day, everything's gone. Everything is done. And I understand it's because the first shot, when it's first given to you, the body does not recognize it and therefore it does not react. Meanwhile, it's training the body to be able to pick it up. The second shot, it picks it up and the body reacts. During the first shot, I said, gee, I wonder if we really got the vaccine, or maybe it was placebo given to us. But the second shot told us, yeah, we did get it. We did get the real thing. And so I'm glad it's done and over with. Now, am I gonna die tomorrow? No, because I'm still alive. For those conspiracy theorists, don't believe it. Don't believe it. First of all, if we don't have enough experience, how could you say that? We have no experience, so we don't know if it's good or it's bad. Okay. And am I gonna die 10 years from now? I don't care. I'm 72. Well, if I live until I'm 80, 82, or even 90, I'll be very happy. So who cares? So that's how I weigh the trade-offs before I decided to go ahead and get it. Now, if I were younger, that's going to be a different story. Let's say if I'm 20, 25, I have many years ahead of me, I will think a little bit more, maybe avoid exposure a little bit more, because the danger of having a vaccine that is not 100% tested, how do you measure adequate testing? You can never say what's adequate. Sometimes even after 1 year, side effects could be discovered. So that's a risk I had to take, and I'm glad I took it. So now I can feel comfortable traveling as soon as the country opens up, the Philippines that is. As soon as they open up, I'll be ready to go. So I don't have anything to worry about. It doesn't mean that I'll be careless and stop wearing masks. I still will do that. But at least the risk of me getting contaminated and being seriously hospitalized or getting sick is no longer there. So It's up for you how you want to decide, but that is the decision process I had to go through, and that's why I decided to go ahead and get it. Please do share this video to other people who are sort of at an edge, whether they should take it or not, and hopefully they can make the right decision as well. Thank you so much for watching, and please make it a great day, and God bless.